So this car started life as a rough as guts 6-spec Lancer that we bought off Facebook Marketplace for $1,000. And over the last couple of months, we've put in an insane amount of work turning this thing into a Nissan Silvia powered rear wheel drive Evo. We actually debuted this car at the LZ World Tour here in Melbourne, and the response from everyone was amazing, and the car performs flawlessly. But how much does the conversion actually cost? That's what we're here to find out. So I am going to be completely transparent with you guys in the video, and some of the parts were sponsored. So when those sponsored parts do pop up, I'll let you know, but we're still going to include that in the overall price, because at the end of the day, you would have to buy it. So let's start right here at the front of the car with the basics. This thing runs an S13 front end. And for that whole front end, including subframe, arms, brakes, calipers, and everything like that, we paid $1,500 from Osaka Imports. So the motor and gearbox package is a Nissan Silvia CA18 DE motor that we put a turbo on. The engine, gearbox, and clutch package cost me $2,500, which is the exact reason I went with the CA, is because it's actually quite a cheap setup. Then we've got the turbo manifold that we got off Facebook Marketplace. That was $300. The Pulsar G25 550 turbo, that was $1,100. The external 38mm wastegate was just a cheap one, that was $100. Now the Phoenix radiator and intercooler were hooked up by the Phoenix boys, and I absolutely love them. They're an amazing product. But if you were to buy them, the radiator would cost $460 retail, and the intercooler would be $380. The turbo oil lines, the water lines, the power steering lines, and the catch can are all custom here, and they cost $450. The custom brake lines that we have going to our front brakes that we bought from the brake shop were $50. The coilovers are the Fancy Max speeding rods coilovers, $500, although they were sponsored, so they were free for us. All the things like the intercooler piping and the intake pipe we had lying around here, and we fabricated those in-house, so we're not going to include those in the overall cost because effectively they were free. So take that with a grain of salt. So the body kit on the car I searched high and low for, and I finally found what I was looking for on Facebook Marketplace, although I had to piece different bits together, but overall that costs $1,000. The front bumper, funnily enough, was in the bin at Osaka Imports, and Paul gave it to me, which is awesome, and I pieced that together with another front bumper that we had that we got with the kit that just looked terrible. So we ended up making one bumper out of two, and I think it looks freaking awesome. Although I actually am going to repaint it because there's a couple of wee things I want to do to make it look absolutely perfect, and we were on a time crunch when we did paint it the first time. Oh. So moving on to the interior of the car, and it's probably one of my favorite parts of the car, weirdly enough, just because it came together so freaking well. It's super enjoyable to be in, it feels really comfortable, still needs Apple CarPlay, but that's something we'll deal with later. But let's start with the PowerTune dash. Again, this was sponsored. These guys are so freaking cool. All 3D printed and handmade here in Australia. They're absolutely freaking awesome. I'm super happy with it. That was $910, but again, they hooked us up, so shout out PowerTune. Then we have our GK Tech handbrake and all the brake lines that I bought for the car. They're all custom. That includes the clutch line and the slave cylinder. That was $700 all up, not sponsored at all, but I do massively love GK Tech stuff. This handbrake feels so freaking cool. I'm actually going to switch to GK Tech in the E36 as well, but they were $700. Then we have the bucket seats. I actually had them in the Datsun, but they cost me $600, and we put them in this car, so we have to take that into account, $600. Then we have a half roll cage here. So we actually do fab work here in the shop, so all I had to do was pay for materials for that. That was $500, extremely cheap. Shout out WasFab, legend. One thing I didn't mention with the motor, but it's under the dash here, is the Haltech ECU that we're running. I bought that secondhand for $1,000. It's a Haltech Platinum Sport 1000. Came with the loom as well. We reused a bunch of that loom, so $1,000. Pretty good price in my opinion. So next up we have our Raceworks fuel system. Again, another insane part of the car. It looks freaking fantastic. But all up, this would have cost about $1,800, including the fuel cell, surge tank, all the lines, the pumps. But it's such a freaking cool setup, and I'm super happy with it. Then we have our fully custom exhaust. Again, I'm really lucky that we can do fab here. So all I had to do was pay for materials, and all the boys came to the party, TIG welded it up. It looks absolutely phenomenal. $500 for materials. So freaking good. Then we have the beautiful paint job that we did in-house, as you can see by the yellow on the floor here, right here in the factory, which turned out so freaking good. So because we did that ourselves using a $49 Bunnings spray gun, that cost us all up $650, including paint and all the sanding and prep materials that we needed to paint the car. It's one of the parts that I am most proudest of on the car because we absolutely nailed it. It looks so freaking good. In the back of the car to spin the rear wheels, we use an MX-5 NB subframe. So for that complete subframe, diff, axles, brakes, everything, we paid $1,500. Honestly, Initially, I thought that the subframes and stuff might come in a little bit cheaper, but JDM stuff these days is so freaking expensive, and you want to buy good parts so that the cars can actually last when they're out on track and on the street. So it is what it is. Last of all, we have the dyno tube for the car, which cost $600. The parts that we had to buy from the wrecker, like the door and a couple of other wee things, was $264. All the steel that we used to make the custom frame rails, rear firewall, boot, everything like that, including the mid-gas and stuff as well, because you do have to take that stuff into account, was about $400. Lastly, we're just gonna add on $200 for just random stuff that I would have missed. Little runs to Autobahn and stuff like that we needed to, you know, finish the car. And that brings us to a total figure of $17,954 to take our Lancer from what it was to this right here. Now, because of all the sponsored parts and stuff like that, it probably actually cost me about $13,000 out of pocket. This car is now one of one in the world. There is not another Lancer that looks like an Evo that has a CA18 motor in it that is rear wheel drive like this. The noises this car makes, the way it feels when you drive it, the way it feels when you drift it, $13,000 for me is absolutely well and truly worth the build. Not to mention all of the memories that we created with all the boys, late nights, 5:30 a.m. finishes and stuff like that. That all goes in the memory bank. That to me is worth so much as well. So the memories I have with this car, I'm never gonna sell this car. This is mine forever. I'm keeping it. We'll continue to develop it. It might even get a built motor one day. We'll keep pushing the power. We'll keep having fun in it. So for $13,000, there are not many cars that you could buy that would make you as happy as this, would give you as much satisfaction as this. And also the amount of necks that this thing snaps as well. People absolutely love this car. And then when you show them the motor, the fact that it's rear wheel drive, their eyes light up. It's just so freaking cool. And I believe at the current rates, 13 grand is less than half the price of an Evo. I don't even know if you can buy an Evo 5 for 30 grand these days. You're probably paying more 40, 45, 50. So I'm stoked with it, but I'd love to hear your guys' opinions in the comments below, bad or good, as long as you keep it constructive. Don't be mean, please, because it makes me feel bad. But chuck a comment below, let me know, is this worth the money to rear wheel drive convert it? Would you have done it? And that is a wrap on this video, but next time you see this car, we're gonna take it up the hills, we're gonna do a POV drive on the 2-gate with this thing. The sounds it makes, it's so freaking fun, so I can't wait to show you guys that. Make sure you hit that sub button if you haven't already. Hit that like button, that really helps push the videos out. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Real drive Evo though, like this thing, crazy. Bye.